Thanks to a leak over at Bleeding Cool, we get to take a look at DC Comics Solicitations from May 2019 a little bit early, and I give you the top 5 things that you gotta check out. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detailed Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is a weekly one-shot, a show where I go over a variety of different comic book topics, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 things that you need to check out in the May 2019 solicitations from DC Comics. Make sure you subscribe to get more of these every week or so. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is how the Caped Crusader is still the cash cow for DC Comics, with a release of a whole bunch of brand new different Batman comic books. So, Batman TMNT is going to be getting a 3rd miniseries, and this time we're going to get James Tynion IV teaming up with Kevin Eastman, the original writer of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to kind of tell a brand new story about our Caped Crusader as well as his sewer-dwelling super friends of turtles. So that's going to be a pretty interesting one. We also get Batman and the Outsiders #1, which is written by Brian Edward Hill. That's going to be particularly cool. And then we've got Batman The Last Night on Earth, written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo. And on top of this, Batman #70 is going to be taking a completely different turn after the Nightmares storyline, which is going to be including Thomas Wayne and why he's on the side of the villains in this one. So a lot of stuff's going to be going down with Batman, and it's definitely something that you don't want to miss out on. The #2 thing that you need to check out is Doomsday Clock #11. The promise of answers about DC's Rebirth is going to be coming out, and while the original Doomsday Clock debuted in November of 2017, meaning that we're going to go on at least 16 to 18 months between the release of issue #1 and issue #11, putting the end of the series sometime in July of 2019, quite a long time to be keeping up with this storyline. We're finally going to be getting the kind of results that we're hoping for from DC Rebirth. So 3 years later, we're going to be getting some of those answers, and hopefully they still have an impact on the DC universe. Overall, there's a really cool variant cover that's going along with it, with Batman stopping the release of nuclear weapons, so I'm interested to see exactly what kind of story Geoff Johns is going to continue to tell. That is, if it stays on time. #3, we have the official beginning of Year of the Villain. So Year of the Villain is going to be taking the villains and putting them front and center when it comes to main series like the Justice League, Superman, as well as a number of others across the DC universe. The Year of the Villain is actually getting a new #1, which is going to be kind of like a free comic book day 25-cent issue, which is going to be telling the setup for each of these different stories that are going to be appearing in different series. And the Superman Leviathan Rising Special Edition #1, written by Brian Michael Bendis, is going to be a key point of that. So not only will it be focusing on creating a bit of continuity for Leviathan, as well as establishing it and bringing it to the forefront of Superman's super story, we're also going to be getting the introduction of a brand new Lois Lane solo series, as well as a Jimmy Olsen solo series that are going to be complementing the story that Brian Michael Bendis is telling. Well, if it's going to be interesting at all. But it's one of those things that if you like what's going on in Superman, you can't miss this one. Now that we get on to item #4, we're going to have to be talking about Joshua Williamson, and the Flash #70 kicks off Flash Year 1. So we get a Year 1 style story of Barry Allen, not quite like Flash Rebirth from Geoff Johns, but a completely different version of Flash's early years, where he's going to be burning through tennis shoes and trying to come up with who he is as a superhero, where his identity was established. And given the run that Joshua Williamson's had on the Flash, which is pretty prolific and really well received, especially compared to other stories that have kind of come and gone since the debut of DC Rebirth, Flash Year 1 is going to be another deep dive into the Scarlet Speedster, and I can't really wait to see what he's offering. With the current situation and the crossover between Batman and the Flash inside the Price, which is a really strong bit of storytelling that's not necessarily... It's one of those things that I wasn't necessarily expecting to be as good as it is. It really just leads me to the point where Flash #70, Flash #71, and the continuation of that Year 1 storyline is something that I'm really going to want to read. And then getting to #5, we get the big bad boy of May 2019, and that is DCeased. So Tom Taylor has been teasing on Twitter and wherever he possibly can the hashtag DCeased. So DCeased has been in the zeitgeist for a little bit of time, and what we get is the official release and synopsis of what that story is going to really entail. A zombie-like virus that infects the actual neural pathways and the brain functionality of the infected is going to be impacting the entirety of the DC universe, superheroes, supervillains, and common folk alike. So with Tom Taylor doing a phenomenal job writing the Injustice and Injustice 2 type storylines, which tied into the video games, and really relishing the idea of taking the DC universe and putting it down a peg, or possibly in its grave, I'm really excited to see what Tom Taylor is going to be bringing to this kind of zombie storyline, instead of just like a simple Marvel Zombies story where it's kind of the Walking Dead style. This should be something a little bit different, and the cover art has just been fantastic with this main cover as well as Greg Capullo's cover of Batman fighting off zombies. So DCeased has to be the headlining moment for DC in May of 2019, but I want you guys to take a look at the actual solicitations and let me know what other things you're excited about. Is there another thing that I should be checking out? And if so, hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.